The other day, I was watching a Brent Rivera kissing tutorial. Not for any personal reason, I'm very good at kissing. It was for his second channel video. As Brent diverted from the topic of his own video in a variety of different wonderful ways, including renting a giraffe, I suddenly saw him on a very familiar set.
James Charles here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Yeah! Is he in James Charles's house? How did he end up in James Charles's house instead of doing a kissing tutorial for me to watch? I was clearly mortified by the situation. I was not happy at all. Why is he there? Why would he do that? Just a refresher, I guess. James Charles was accused 2 years ago of messaging inappropriately a variety of teenage boys. So how'd you find yourself in his studio, Brent? So then, I started connecting the dots. Some of you may have seen this article. James Charles would like to be uncancelled, please. This is a puff piece on how he had messed up and he's trying to move on from, trying to hook up with 16-year-olds. The same article also states that because of this want of his to be uncancelled, James Charles has hired a PR firm to help him out with that project. And the timeline of this also perfectly aligns with this Brent video and with him recording a lot of collabs with a different influencer for kids. Look, this is one of the first things that you see when you look up JoJo Siwa. James Charles, James Charles, James Charles, James Charles. He's like, is he paying all of these people? I'm assuming that he is. I think that he's paying all of these people. There is very clearly a campaign being led here by James's PR team. I want to follow the threads of this campaign up until the very end. A campaign to rebuild his image through that horrible puff piece, through 1 billion collabs and positive TikToks, all out in time for the release of his marvelous new makeup thing. And is it working for him? Can you really buy yourself a way out of being cancelled? I think that you can. Part 1. The puff piece. This is what started it all. The worst article ever. But it's also quite a fascinating piece of art. It's essentially divided into 4 separate sections. We start with the writer's sin. Gabrielle Bluestone, the writer of this, seems so incredibly aware of what she's doing. I don't think anyone has ever been more aware of anything ever. You could almost taste the guilt through her words as she describes her situation so precisely. At this point, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this. The ones that come together post-cancellation after a respectable amount of time has passed post-cancelable sin. It's no surprise that a star's willingness to answer intimate questions about a catastrophic stretch of their lives increases dramatically when they have a project to promote. In today's case, that's ostensibly Charles's new makeup line painted, but it's also Charles himself. Yeah, no, that's exactly what's going on here. Word to word. It's almost as if Gabrielle, by laying out this whole thing that she's a part of, she's trying to rid herself of the guilt of being the first part of this campaign. She talks how the goal here is probably to have this piece the first thing that pops up when you look up on Google the words James Charles Uncancalled. She didn't even have to say that. I had no idea that that's what's going on here. I wasn't even nearly as smart enough to figure that one out. This confession of hers takes up such a huge portion of the article, it almost tricks you into thinking that this is gonna be like a good thing, like a good piece of journalism that you're about to read. But it's absolutely not the case. Maybe it's sort of like the ending from that Eminem movie, 8 Mile, where he makes fun of himself for being white. So the other guy can't do it. Maybe that's what's going on here, because immediately afterwards, it begins. We learn about James's sin. We start by getting details about the James Charles empire, just so we know what was truly at stake over here. He guested on Ellen, the highest honor any human being could ever achieve. He made $10 million in 1 year, has a lot of TikTok followers, but all of this momentum is stopped by this sentence. This unbelievably dramatic sentence. This was all before, though. Before he started flirting with teenagers. The entire chain of events is laid out. At the end, we find out that at least 15 people are accusing James of a variety of different things to a variety of different degrees. If the writer stopped here, we might mistakenly think that we're supposed to, I don't know, dislike James? But luckily, this isn't what the PR firm was paid to do. Instead, we get this abomination. The writer keeps bringing up questionable part of James's image, only to then have James be the only person to give an explanation to that, essentially just taking off a list. Hey James, whether you knew about these people's ages or not, what you did here was clearly, an abuse of power in a very creepy way. Oh yeah, I guess I did mess up. Hey James, why don't you just use Raya? Or just any dating app, but Raya specifically, it's a dating app for famous people. The people on these dating apps also need to prove that they're of age. So if you really cared about that, you could just use a dating app, James Charles. He tells me he previously had accounts on Raya, Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and while he did go on dates with people he met there, he ultimately felt too exposed. Like anyone he swiped right on was going to take screenshots of their conversations or brag to their friends about it. They could just do that with Instagram as well. You can screenshot stuff on Instagram and TikTok, which are the platforms that you used. This is just obviously a lie. You wanted to have the power to pick these people out from your fans. If anything, using these apps would have given you a higher chance of talking to someone who doesn't know who you are. But you obviously didn't want that, did you? The writer even says this. She knows that this is a horrible point to bring up. She knows that he's lying. She keeps bragging about how she's so smart that she can, see right through this song and dance. And yet, does she contest that? Does she say, hey James, what about Instagram? You can screenshot stuff on Instagram. It's an app. Of course you can screenshot stuff on Instagram. No, she doesn't do that. Because then this article wouldn't be just a piece of shit thing. Then we get to section 3. Pain. After the list is ticked off, the focus here is on the tragedy that is James's cancellation. His page was demonetized. He didn't return as the host of Instant Influencer. Not Instant Influencer, the YouTube original. This show that is rated 33% on Google. Companies cut ties with him. He didn't make as many millions as he used to. Jesus Christ. We're done talking about the accusers now. Now, it's time for James, how his deserved empire was taken away from him, how the natural structure of how power should be was shaken. Some of these paragraphs genuinely feel like they were written as a joke. Charles spent the next few months mostly offline, doing a lot of self-reflection and conferring with mental health professionals, and while a couple of months may seem like a laughably short time for a break, to Charles, having no stage felt like endless punishment. Whoa, that's alright, officer. No need to arrest this guy. Having no stage was enough of a punishment for him. This man was essentially in hell for a little while. He has suffered enough. We put him on a stage quickly before he dies. As everything was looking grim, as it seemed like it was all over, as James was dealing with the endless torment of getting 1 million views a video instead of 20. God himself came down from the heavens and whispered into James's ear, "Psst, hey, maybe just get a PR firm. Maybe just do that. Maybe just get a PR team." Eventually, he hired a PR firm to help. They were trying to get me into every single event and premiere and red carpet and show, and every single one of them was a no. Until it was a yes, I guess. Charles started making significant appearances. The Grammys. What the hell? The Scream 6 movie premiere, a young Hollywood night, hosted by Vanity Fair and TikTok. He also, I should note, appeared at a cosmopolitan party in LA, which is the website that this is published on. She was really treating that article as her confession booth, I guess. Their goal here is to normalize James. Make it so his face is everywhere, so you can't even ignore it. You're walking through your living room, you're looking through the window, and you see a familiar face in the distance. You're like, oh, who's that? Ah, Jesus Christ. It's James Charles. It's late at night, you're going up to your fridge to get like a little late night snack. You're looking right below the pineapple aisle, and you're like, oh, what's that? It's James Charles. He's in your fridge. They put James Charles in your fridge. This is a rough one. You're in your bed, and man, it sucks. You're experiencing sleep paralysis for the first time. You can't move a muscle in your body, and your eyes are hazy, but like you think you can see this figure. You see a demon. James Charles. He's your... James Charles is your sleep paralysis demon. His PR firm is that good. If you literally can't avoid the man's face, you might think to yourself that, this is okay. He's supposed to be there. In my fridge. Nothing is wrong with this situation.
Gang gang. Gang gang. Gang gang. Gang gang.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Someone said trend over. Bitch, I'm with the trend.
Yo. Oh, ha 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 ha. The queen of...
They put him on the TikTok NPC lady stream. This man has no idea what he's doing. He's throwing her completely off balance. She does this for a living. She never breaks character. He breaks character all the time. He sucks at being a TikTok NPC.
What do you do for the elephant? What? That was not an elephant!
And he also was on Brent Rivera's channel. I cannot overstate how out of nowhere the James Charles inclusion in this video really is. It's just kind of like a jump scare. He just kind of pops out at you. You're watching this thing because you want to learn more about this mysterious kissing thing. But actually, no, it's more because you're recording a second channel video and you're actually very good at kissing. But then he starts doing all this other non-kissing related stuff. He's like in the gymnastics gym.
Alright, so right now we're here at the gymnastics gym, and
then he's like hanging out with a giraffe. It's crazy. And suddenly...
As much fun as this was, I told my YouTuber friend James Charles I would watch his house and his dogs while he's gone for the day.
Right, you can't just leave your audience to do a different thing while recording a video. That's completely irresponsible. What if I started wandering off? What if I got lost? Huh? This segment of the video is just James Charles propaganda.
And the best part about it, he's rich and his house is huge.
James Charles is epic and cool and rich. Let's all go hang out at the James Charles fun house of fun. James Charles has a cool trampoline. Come on, everybody. Let's go jump at the James Charles trampoline.
This trampoline is massive and is built into the ground.
That's so cool, man. James Charles is so cool.
Okay, so James has an Olympic-sized pool. I don't know why you would need a pool this big. This is like my dream house.
And then, in an instant, we see something never thought to be humanly possible before by science. Brent and James collide. They become one. But not in a sex way. We got Brent Charles.
Always wanted to do this. Hey sisters, James Charles here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yes!
It's in a moment like this where you may contemplate, it started off with a kiss. How did it end up like this? I've seen YouTube collabs before. In fact, I've made a bunch. I'm a YouTuber. That's what I do. But I've never really seen anything quite like this. The vibe is off. While this whole section is entirely about James, he shows up for really small segments throughout this bit. And then Brent is just in his house without him, talking about the greatness of his life, promoting the idea of James Charles. We feel his presence in the air. We can smell the brand new painted makeup with our nose. This doesn't feel like a collaboration. No, this feels a lot more like a brand deal.
We have this new brand, it's called Painted. This one's Pinky Promise.
Like the article states so beautifully, this PR effort is both a campaign for James's new makeup line and James himself. I talked about this in a video a few months ago, but the reason as to why influencer products sell so well is not because of the product itself. That's why Prime is so successful, right? The thing itself tastes like shit. While some of these products may be very good, the quality of them is not what drives sales on its own, obviously. We see the product as an extension of the influencer, and because of that, to be able to sell Painted, the new James Charles makeup line, James himself needs to be fixed in the public eye. And so, we get this, a sponsored segment for James the human being.
This is his movie theater.
I'll see you next week. Bye.
Nice video, James.
I have no way of knowing if this is actually a paid thing or not. Maybe they're just very good friends. I don't think that they are because James was in this video for like a second, but who knows? I mean, they've made videos together pre-cancellation. All I know is what this feels like.
In this room, he has all of his merch. Look at all this merch here. I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna take this one.
He showcases James's merch and new makeup line. And when you go to the description, guess what you see? Right at the top. You see a link to the new product straight at the top, just as required by most advertisers. If this is an ad, how come it's not disclosed? How come it's not made clear? Because legally and morally, you should make it pretty clear. Brent's audience is just children. They can't really tell the difference between a fun trip to a friend's house and a sponsored segment. Hell, I'm an adult, and the lines here seem pretty blurry to me as well. And, well, I think that's done on purpose. Brent mentioning the makeup is fleeting, but it's there. It's meant to look like a casual thing, but it's not.
I did it! We have this new brand, it's called Painted. This one's Pinky Promise. In this room, he has...
Something feels shady here. It feels too purposeful, too planned out to just be a coincidence. Another old friend of Mr. James that started making videos with him right on time for this launch is JoJo Siwa. The PowerPoint slide is too big for this wall, but she's like over here. So I put her on the board. Yeah. This collaboration was thankfully a bit more transparent than the last one. They say that it's an ad.
Come behind the scenes of a Painted commercial with JoJo Siwa and a very iconic special guest.
It all kind of started with this commercial that they did together. The point of it is essentially to recreate viral moments with like really well-known online figures. And the first person to do it was, of course, JoJo. And the reason James decided to go for this campaign is actually pretty, it's pretty personal.
A couple of weeks ago, because memes are obviously a very large part of my career that I will always be grateful for.
Just a really funny sentence. Memes are a very big part of his career that he will always be grateful for. No, you're not. After that, we got a TikTok on JoJo's account where she gets ready for the launch party. The comments on this one are actually a bit sobering. Up until this point, I felt like I was in a Mandela effect kind of situation, where I was like transported into a different universe where James Charles is the Pope. Oh, wait a second. That was just the first comment. The rest of them are unbelievably positive. Everyone's really excited for this James Charles Painted event. Even a fake Mr. Beast scam account commented cuteness overload. That's how you know that, everyone's really liking this thing. JoJo and James then did a video on his channel, a sort of Mr. Beastian type credit card swap challenge. One of my absolutely favorite parts about this video is how they... it's the way in which they acknowledge the fact that JoJo hasn't really collaborated with him, specifically for the time that he's been canceled for.
It has been 3 years since we've been on the YouTube channel together.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Although we have not been on the channel together, we've hung out so many times in the meantime. We've been at each other's events, each other's parties.
Yeah, no, I guess I can't really think of something notable that happened to make JoJo not want to be on this channel. Like, I'm trying to think about it, but I just can't bring my brain to. Guys, we're friends. We've always been friends, okay? It's not like most of the relationships between these people are essentially contractually obliged. Anyways, here's me buying a $500 fucking pillow. JoJo Siwa and Brent Rivera have a predominantly younger audience. Not a lot of people over 20, except of me, are watching a Brent Rivera kissing tutorial. And those who do, it's not because they need it. I think that what's happening here is pretty clear, right? You bring this younger audience into your channel, this audience that doesn't really know what happened with you 2 years ago because maybe they're too young to remember, or maybe they know but they don't care because that's what kids usually do. They defend the people that they're fans of, and that serves as a sort of restart point for you. It's pretty smart. Was this campaign successful? Yeah. There's already a lot of TikToks talking positively about the launch of this product. The Painted TikTok account is just filled with positive comments. Is it maybe because James and his team are monitoring them? Probably. Also, this is something that happened.
This morning I woke up to a text and a tag from Miss Kimberly Noel Kardashian herself. Very exciting. It's certainly not every day that my day begins that way, but was a bit confused as to why I was tagged in this photo of them in Japan until I saw the next story and saw that not only did Northwest receive her painted PR package, but she also brought it with her across the world to get ready in Japan. How cool!
How cool. Besides Northwest, a variety of different celebrities have already worn the new makeup. To be clear, I doubt that a lot of them know who James Charles is. It's pretty common for makeup artists to be sent stuff like that and then use it. But I mean, that kind of just goes to show how much of a reach he still has, how weak the idea of him being cancelled is. During one of the biggest moments of self-awareness in the article, Gabrielle says this: "Would a still ousted person be allowed to pose for red carpet cameras at the People's Choice Awards or chat amiably with paparazzi while out and about in Hollywood? Would a still banished person have hundreds of thousands of fans enthusiastically engage with his YouTube beauty tutorials? Would a truly exiled person be 24 years old and living in a reportedly $7 million farmhouse?" And the answer I think we can all come to today is no. If you have enough money at 24 to buy yourself a $7 million farm, you can also afford your way out of the island of cancellation. You'll still maintain the ability to have your makeup line smeared on the most famous people on planet Earth. Within all of the articles of celebrities crying about cancel culture, it's sobering to get a good reminder of what true power looks like. It looks like a Brent Rivera kissing tutorial. Subscribe. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss. Now I'm watching a Brent and he's calling a giraffe while he's having a smoke and he's putting on drag. Now he's talking to James and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head, but he's putting his makeup. He takes off his makeup. Let me go.